Welcome back, everybody. It's Hadrada1066 here, whether you're watching on Twitch or YouTube. Hope you're looking forward to another good set of the Newbie and the Beast tournament, a high elo bracket. This one is going to be between El Matador and eldeniro, and MbL and Dragon. Actually, whoops, let me standardize that a bit. Alright, before we actually head into the games that we will be casting in form of VODs today again, let's actually check out the standings of the bracket for the time being. So this is the 5 teams that we have in the high-elo bracket. The format is a standard single round robin of best of 3s, meaning every team will play every other team once. And that results in 4 matches played per team. We can see Team Romania already with those 4 wins, so they have that first place spot already secured for themselves, which is great, but the places 2 and 3 will also receive monetary rewards. Therefore, all the other games still bearing high stakes here. Now the 2 teams on the sides here are the ones that are actually going to be playing against each other today, and neither team yet to pick up a victory here. So whoever ends up losing this one will probably feel pretty bummed out about their chances. It'll be pretty important, especially for eldeniro and El Matador, if they want to get into that 3rd place spot, or even still contest for the 2nd. They need a victory here. Master James and Emu Warrior, having beaten them in the last set that we covered here, they are currently the ones in the best position to secure that 2nd place, but of course it's still all very much open, as these teams, barring Team Romania, pretty much have all their matches still left to be played against each other. That being said, let's actually head in, and as just mentioned, it is another best of 3 here. The first game, which is a 2v2 between the 2 teams on Nomad. So let's jump into that one and see how it went, which team is actually able to secure a win heading into this series. There we go. eldeniro and El Matador against MbL and Dragon, game 1 in the Newbie and the Beast tournament. Actually, in-game audio should be available as well. Hope the audio balance is fine now. I've been having to change it quite a lot lately, but alright. We'll see about that. eldeniro here in the very center of the map. El Matador yet to actually place down his TC. Maybe he wanted to drop it here up north, but could be deterred by the Lithuanian one. Nonetheless, is going to drop it here, so El Matador and eldeniro planting relatively close together, whereas Dragon and MbL a little bit more apart from each other, although their docks are quite close, so that's neat. Let's start with the civilization overview, shall we? This is Nomad, and we have Mongols and Koreans for Team L and L. Well, I've talked about Koreans quite a lot already, because they've been picked a lot in these Nomad games, so not a lot to be said about them. eldeniro will have access to free archer upgrades, which is nice, but more importantly, extra vision on the villagers and discounts on the warships are going to be quite helpful on a water map like this one, and on a map where you don't have a scout, so you actually get a lot of vision just out of your villagers. You can see there how big the radius is there they can uncover, so not too bad. Hopefully we'll see some turtle ships as well. I don't think we've seen some yet in this tournament, but I'm still holding out hope. And here on the other side, the Mongols for his teammate, for El Matador, the APM king of the community. He's got my favorite civ to work with. Actually, these are my 2 favorite civs, as you can see by the 2 emotes that I have for them. So I'm pretty stoked about that. So Mongols really cool, mainly for their land military options, I gotta say. I love the Mangudai, I love the drill onagers, and even the steppe lance is really cool. So typically fast castle with Mongols sounds pretty good, but we'll see. I mean, they don't have a bonus for warships per se, but with their strong early game Dark Age economy due to the hunt bonus, they might be able to secure a very early uptime and thus contest in feudal age on the water as well. Well, that for Team L and L. We see Dragon meanwhile playing as the Lithuanians. She's going to be dropping a house forward, which will serve her well in defending here, which she's probably going to be forced to do quite a lot of. And what do we have actually? It is Lithuanians and it is Dravidians. Okay, spicy. Actually not a very controversial pick, especially not for this map. We've seen them before in this tournament. But not too crazy choices, right? Dravidians known for the weak stable, Lithuanians strong cavalry civ, so they complement each other quite well in that regard. Good walling here actually by Dragon with the Lithuanians, so for her a fast castle would also be a classic approach, but nonetheless that 100 food that they get extra to start out with can also be used to secure a faster uptime, and thus can make an argument for trying to contest the early feudal age as well. So she's flexible there in her options for what she wants to do. MbL, meanwhile, the Dravidians. I've mentioned this before, I think, as well, but yeah, their bonuses, they're just so nice for this map, aren't they? Fishing economy is super strong, and then the extra wood at the start of every age, so potent, right? That can be an extra dock, then can be in military production buildings, before other civs would typically add one on Nomad. It's just extra flexibility on the map where you typically might struggle for wood. So I really like that as well. Strong skirmishers as well for them. Actually, both civilizations here for their team have some sort of trash unit skirmisher bonuses. Meanwhile, Dragon with very extensive walls here around her base. It's going to secure quite some space there. Importantly, the goat is going to be walled in, but a tower could definitely threaten that. And playing against the Koreans, towers is something that she might have to expect, thus potentially the big walls that she's doing. Right? She's not doing particularly small ones, and so maybe because of the Koreans she wants to secure as much space as possible, as fast as possible. Let's actually switch to her perspective here. Okay, she knows about this in the north. She knows about the Korean dock, or at least the house being present there, so yeah, she's likely to also try and wall off this area, as the houses are uncovered. But, well, she's going to try to wall in the dock villager here, isn't she? Oop. Well, she just walled in her own will with Loom picked up. Not a bad choice. She'll always win this fight. And this is probably going to be a will going down for Eldeniro. I don't really see right now how he would save it. So really nicely executed by Dragon. Thinking a bit smarter than I was. So that dock villager for Eldeniro is a goner. Rip. One villager down and loses the potential to drop a tower or something from the north, which otherwise would have been a very real threat. Also a potential repair villager that is now missing if a naval engagement were to take place here. But both teams actually with their docks right next to each other. Dragon even scouting forward with a fishing ship here. Look at this. She brought this one over. Found the dock there from El Matador right next to Eldeniro's. So they're well aware of the water situation here. No, none of the players have clicked up to the next age yet, but that is going to happen very soon. See the food counts in the bottom right around 500 for everybody. Mongols not clicking up yet. Certainly will go for a fast castle here with 3 on gold already. And we might just be looking at a situation where everybody is going for an FC. But let's check this out. Dragon now going to gold here, so could definitely see her doing one. Same, well, but the Koreans actually never mind that. They're heavily on stone, so seems not to be an FC approach here, but a pretty late feudal. I feel like they could have clicked up. Oh yeah, they definitely could have clicked up a while ago. Look at this. There's 2 villagers still queued up there, so I'm not sure. Well, they might fast castle after all. I'm not sure about this approach yet. I can't quite put my finger on it. And for MbL down with the Dravidians very isolated on his own, could go for a couple of different approaches. Maybe he's confident in Dragon, holding on for a while and building up his own strength to try and carry with, or could try to flank one of the opponents, castle drop one of the opponents, and get involved early. Really, there's a couple of options there. It's also already on gold, so also likely to just go for an FC here. But we'll see as the first castle age times are coming in, both from Team MbL. There's going to be the market, and the blacksmith will follow shortly. Well, as soon as Dragon can afford it, actually. Doesn't quite have the wood yet. And so actually, never mind that. The resources not looking sufficient to go up to castle age right away. Might have to use the market a little bit there. Alright, El Matador now also with the uptime. Going for an outpost here. Let's see how much vision that actually gives. Not as much yet, as there's no town watch in. But we'll see the gold there shortly. That's going to be useful information to have. Actually, already setting up some buildings a little bit further away there. And he's going to be able to go on, well, I wonder what he's going to go for actually. This is interesting. Going to sell some stone, I suppose, to do his FC. And that's exactly what he did. Or no, never mind, he had already clicked up. I was the idiot, as per usual. But for the Koreans, yeah, that was the one that I wasn't quite sure about. Looks like he's also just going to sell the stone, though, in order to get up to the next stage. Apparently, yeah, that's just going to be his approach. So, fast castles for everybody, but Team MbL generally a little bit faster, it felt, although El Matador really made up quite a bit of time here. So it is still relatively competitive there. Interestingly, neither of the teams decided to try and abuse an early feudal age timing here potentially. El Matador now going forward already. Tries to batter in here. Wonder what the approach will be. Is it just going to be double castle drops from Team L and L? It could be, but then I'm, well, not sure about the villager charge here. Possibly just trying to break in somehow to get a better spot for that castle drop. eldeniro also now bringing a tower of his own. Korean towers in castle age will be extremely annoying. Look at how walled MbL already is. Has a huge space of this wall, of this map walled up. Very diligent about it. And also, the only one with some navy out actually has 5 fire ships. With the only player on water, he's going to have, he's going to be able to find enormous damage there. Matador up to castle age. Probably going to look for a spot to castle drop soon. Excuse me. Already has 900 stone in general. Team L and L having in mind a lot of stone, a lot of access stone, even one might say. So that tower has come up. Will upgrade to a god tower soon. Castles are now being dropped from both parties. Dragon going to hold it against that one, and a Matador at the same time actually going for a TC, so it's not going to be like a brutal military push or anything, just the castle to deny a lot of resources here, which is really nicely placed, right? You can see it denies that gold here. And fletching already having been researched, so El Matador did his homework there. As meanwhile MbL still cleaning up the navy, and no attempt made to save the navy at all from Team L and L. So they're going to go full on for this land approach. And there is the guard tower there. Koreans quite oppressive with that. Botkin isn't in yet, but still pretty good towers. And actually out of the range of the castle here. Already outranging the castle from Dragon, although that is just down to upgrades for now. And eldeniro actually dropping a castle on MbL and a castle at home. Well, that castle is very defensive here. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of this, because he must just expect some raiding here to take place. Maybe MbL or something is a bit scary right now. Could be. MbL actually going for a second TC now and having added monks first things in Castle Age. Well, score situation looking really nice for MbL and Dragon, but that unironically probably only is water for now. Latest out from Dragon against the Mangudai. No blacksmith upgrades yet. For Dragon, that is. El Matador probably able to kite that out. Oh, and the constant attack sounds mostly due to MbL's navy, but also has a castle in his face that actually won't do a ton of damage. It puts some pressure on him, keeps him on his toes, but just the woodline idled for now. Is not even going to break in anywhere, at least not immediately. So MbL on his 2 TCs. Probably going to add in a third one soon if I had to guess. Has a lot of food actually. And a Matador shortly to break into Dragon's base, who keeps on producing his latest and should be able to have enough military to at least keep the Mangudai at bay. But again, fletching in already. No upgrades. Finally we have scale botting actually. So those latest bit more resistant, but if we look at the number 7 attack on the Mangudai, resistance just 2, so still a lot of damage per shot. You can see the latest truly melt, but no ballistics yet, so the Mangudai can't actually chase this down. Good job though by Dragon, already picking up a relic there. Must have been somewhere behind this forest, I hadn't seen it, but grabs that one. Now getting harassed from the east though. War wagons, the Koreans also bringing some UU over. In the east we see some war wagons produced too, although no raiding able to be done there for the time being. Water advantage, yeah, that is real. A lot of extra food for Dragon and MbL, but now Dragon starting to lose out some eco space here on the land, and notices this raid late. Actually loses 2 or 3 villages there, I believe. Actually says 6 villager kills on these wagons, so you know, Dragon really a bit low on villager numbers. Now has to awkwardly abandon this wood line, but still enough resources to safely take, so that she isn't quite out yet here. Still has some left in the tank. The latest though taking a lot of damage here. Is there going to be a conversion successful? No. That is going to mean another round of idle villagers and quite a few kills actually, as the monk just comes out of the monastery, gets picked off immediately. Fires starting to burn all across the base right now for Dragon. Luckily already has a TC set up in the north here, but it seems like there too she was being raided. So I had to garrison as well. Down to 35 villagers and very little eco space actually to work with. Wagons and the latest, or excuse me, the war wagons and the Mangudai having been very dangerous for the latest so far, and for the villagers as well, obviously. Now eldeniro going for a second TC. The one thing I'm worried about with eldeniro is he's in the very middle of the map, extremely raidable. Good job setting up the castle there, as previously mentioned, but in general, he's not in a very safe position, right? MbL still fully walled. Already up on the way to Imp, is going to combat this castle with trebuchets there. At least if he's able to get up a castle of his own, which he's currently working towards. 300 has half the stone already. Dragon so far just buying time and actually not being raided anymore. This is something we haven't seen. This is a mistake we've seen a lot of teams do before, that El Matador and eldeniro is not falling into here. They're actually switching up the aggression, and I don't think that's a bad idea, right? You don't need to get one player completely shut down. Basically, you do damage to both players. I think that's generally a bit of a better approach, and MbL having boomed safely this entire time. Now probably a good target to hit. Has same villager numbers as El Matador pretty much. So he's still not boomed out of control here. Good micro there. Look at the APM master here. Moving those Mangudai extremely smoothly, but not going to find a lot of damage. That said though, there's some villages to be picked off, and the Botkin Mangudai are going to get those kills without much trouble. MbL half a minute away from Imp. Has stone to drop a castle, isn't doing it yet though. I wonder where he wants to go with this one. Probably just going to have to drop it on his own face, if he's even able to get it up there, because there's really a lot of army in his base. Now Dragon coming out with the latest, that's going to help. What is the attack there? 13 plus 1, that's just that one relic. Fair enough. Towers starting to fall for MbL. Where is he going with that castle? He's going quite far north, so potentially to prepare to abandon a bit of the resources down south here. But has a lot of monks to defend with, that's not bad. And now with a dragon raiding a bit as well, that could create a bit of distraction and alleviate some pressure from MbL as well. That is nicely timed raid coming in and gets a few villager picks there as well. Oh, big dive here underneath. That's Dravidian skirmishes and some monks there as well, which aren't great for the Dravidians, but they still get the job done. I don't know if I really like this dive from the Koreans. I mean, the war wagon, truth be told, they have a lot of pierce armor, so not bad at diving, but I wonder if that was the spot to do it in. Still, though, if we compare villager numbers, Amatador now 10 ahead of MbL, but that's not factoring in the fishing ships, and the fishing ships for Dravidians especially, hugely impactful. So overall, MbL and Dragon still 700 score up, still in a situation that I'd describe at least as decent. And Dragon 2 now relatively fine at home, right? Has those 2 scorpions and a lot of monks herself, so should be okay for now. MbL has set up those trebuchets. That's draining stone from the Koreans, which admittedly is being mined at an extremely fast rate, but still, that's resources going down the drain, and they'll have to play for time here. As Dragon may be looking for some more relics. Sure, but I assume they've all been picked up in the meantime. Oh, no other play on the way to Imp. Oh, excuse me, Dragon just clicked up to Imp herself. That's an interesting one. Didn't really expect that from her. Would have expected maybe some more eco expansion or just a big castle age military. But maybe because of the monks, maybe that's the route she wants to go with her Lithuanians. Either way, she's going to also try and get up to the next edge. This TC might be a bit of a risky spot. Oh no, she's going to have a lot of villagers walk in that path here. So Matador, no ballistics yet, but also on the way up to Imp. And gets a few villager picks, but the scorpions are there in time. Oh, wow, nice job by MbL. Finds a really good spot to raid with the converted war wagons. That's Korean on... yeah, well, Koreans turning on their teammates. Really good spot. He gets a lot of value out of these, just took these 3 units. And still super safe at home, firing with 3 traps. Yet more villagers being brought to repair this ultimately not very consequential castle, I honestly think. Wouldn't be that bad if it went down for eldeniro, and if you just made a castle maybe on this hill, maybe somewhere a bit more behind. Give up a little bit of space here. I'm not sure committing all these villagers. That's 23 villagers. That's more than a third of his eco currently not working. So I'm not sure I love that choice. I feel like he could afford to fall back a little bit, and MbL inching forward with castles in the south, gaining a lot of ground and resources under his protection. That being said, massive raid from eldeniro. Sorry for not catching that earlier. Just dove the TC, obliterated it, frankly, and that's a lot of wills yet again being forced to flee for Dragon. Another couple going down there. The late is now being brought in, but honestly I think they'll just get burned if they try to step up to these war wagons. So that's a really nicely done snipe on the TC. Dragon still under a lot of pressure here, still having that castle in her south, and the TC's constantly being dove. Can't help either. That being said, MbL doing a really good job getting involved early here this time, and has a lot of skirmishes now, also doing some counter raiding. Matador and Imp himself, can he get some traps out and stop MbL's advance? Villager wise, well, he's 20 vills ahead of him, sorry, 10 vills ahead of MbL still. Dragon now trying for another castle to secure her eco a little bit more. This is so interesting just geographically, right? We have a player in the north and a player in the east against 2 players kind of in the center west. That makes it interesting strategy-wise where they'll go. MbL still fully walled and pretty safe at home. Also expanding. There's a lot of resources here in the south that are pretty much uncontested. There's a dive underneath the castle though. Garrison comes in from Dragon, and not a lot of villagers were lost there. Mangrai forced to flee. Now we have onagers, we love to see it. Man, that's my favorite unit. Mongol onagers. Are we going to see drill here? I mean, I'm not sure, but onagers in general are really good against skirms, and that is MbL's main unit right now. And in fact, drill onagers even pretty good against trebuchets. But that might be a job for MbL, who are really good units against siege in general. There's the onager from El Matador. You can see the lack of drill making it so the skirms can simply waltz out of there. MbL also really good with the micro, so probably not too difficult here. Now sets up the traps a bit more forward, and trebuchet is actually a really good weapon against onagers, but that's not going to even be needed because the latest come in to snipe one of the onagers here, and will ultimately be sniped by the Mangudai. That being said, massive raid on Dragon's economy at home, and Scorpions not good against Korean war wagons. These are the only cav archers that actually don't really mind fighting Scorpions because of that high pierce armor there. You'd really need like onager, so if you wanted to fight that with siege, and that's a tough loss yet again for Dragon. Look at that, down to 55 villagers, but MbL still winning here in the middle, has taken out that castle and some trebuchets. A Matador with 4 onagers, and there is drill. Let's go, race car onagers. That's what we have the drill emote for. Is that going to make the difference? Well, before drill, these onagers are extremely vulnerable to trebuchet shots, and I believe MbL already targeting them with his traps. Meanwhile, eldeniro having a field day in Dragon's base here, who at least managed to take out the second castle there. Did drill come in though? It did. Look at these race cars that are currently touring around the map. Okay, so drill at least was able to finish before Dragon took out the castle. There go the onagers. They're cutting simply through the trees, but they're gonna have to be on the move here as one goes down to the trebuchets, another one goes down. MbL really good shots here. Another one goes down to the castle. El Matador losing a lot of units here, and drill onagers, they are so expensive, including the upgrades. Really not a joke losing those, but he's keeping on producing more. Gonna have to make sure to keep away the latest though. I mean, look at this, they definitely burn through these onagers, but the war wagons having a good job here. So eldeniro, El Matador, pretty good coordination army-wise right now, but what can they do against MbL here, who's pretty much fully boomed up, who's going into elite elephant archer currently, and he's got a lot of trebuchets still firing. Look at the onagers. Every second you're not moving them, they're in danger of being sniped by a rocket from above. Well, that is pretty scary. I think a lot of momentum right now for MbL and Dragon. Yeah, the army is scary from eldeniro and El Matador, but I think they're losing ground consistently here, with Dragon especially expanding at a faster rate. Although I like this from El Matador, slowly getting some more TCs up in the south. How long are they really going to be around? BL just really having this little front line with the trebuchets is pretty big. There we go, another raid, and that TC in the middle. I mentioned it earlier, eldeniro in a really awkward spot. Game is being called here. There's just no stopping this advance from MbL's skirms, traps, and now even hand cannon is mixed in. Dragon consistently helping out with her own trebuchets and latest sniping units. 13 plus 4 at this point. Must have found a second relic somewhere. Really nicely done from Team MbL, but also from eldeniro and El Matador. I really liked how they played together and used their armies. Maybe it is a bit of a Sif issue in the end here as well. I'm not sure personally what they would have needed in order to actually win this one. But eldeniro is pretty much out of the game here with his 24 villages and fully boomed MbL against fully boomed El Matador. It's probably not a fair matchup when Dragon on the side, who was suffering raids the entire game, is still strong at 67 villages herself and can contribute there as well. So ultimately eldeniro, El Matador, they have to tap out here. Fishing economy also working for MbL and Dragon this entire game. I was trying to see the resources collected here in the end, because I feel like there should be a pretty huge gap. Let's check this out actually, especially Dragon and eldeniro, if we can compare those. I feel like a big part of that is the fishing economy, because the villager numbers weren't actually that different throughout the entire game, I don't think. Okay, that being said, that is game 1. It is a best of 3 though. So if we check on over here, that is the lead in the series for MbL and Dragon. Now, Matador and eldeniro get to decide if they want to have the newbie 1v1 or the beast 1v1 as the next game. And since they are at elimination point, one could say here, they really have to win this next game. So they should choose the matchup in which they have a good advantage. Now, a Matador is a top 30 player on the ladder right now, but MbL is like top 5, so maybe that's not the matchup you typically want to look for in this one. eldeniro against Dragon, I don't know, let me double check here, but I think eldeniro is lower elo than Dragon by a bit as well, isn't he? Yeah, he is. So, at least according to my data, eldeniro is around 1600, where Dragon is a solid 17xx player. So, actually both players with 1-200 elo advantages for Team MbL. It's difficult to say which one of these matchups they're going to choose. If I had to guess, well, I just don't know. Matador and MbL obviously will know each other pretty well. They will have played against each other way more often than eldeniro and Dragon. So it really just depends on how good that individual matchup is. If El Matador feels like for some reason he has MbL's number or he has a pretty good matchup into him, maybe that's the matchup they go for. Otherwise, if you know that both matchups probably aren't great for you, maybe you go for the more unknown one, right? That just hasn't been played as often yet, and you send eldeniro against Dragon. It really depends. Another thing to keep in mind, no matter who actually plays in these 1v1s, the other team member can still watch and give advice. So it's not really a true isolated 1v1 in that sense. Let's check the files now and see which one is game 2. I think it's going to be eldeniro against Dragon, which was the matchup I had suggested. So I hope these guys will let me know in retrospect if I select the wrong game here. But I think this is game number 2. And that would be the newbie matchup, quote unquote. Dragon against eldeniro. So let's jump into that. Game 2 of the series. It's match point for Dragon and MbL. First, the former of which is going to be playing the Lithuanians here to try and close out the series and get the first win of this tournament on the board. And that would put them in a pretty good position here to contest for that second place and get a good amount of prize money still. Whereas on the other side, eldeniro now on the Magyars with a chance to tie the series up and send it into a deciding game 3. Well, Matador would then have to face MbL for the series victory. Well, okay, we have Dragon on the left side and the Lithuanians, the civ that she just played in the Nomad before. Maybe that plays into it and is actually quite helpful, getting to play the same civ 2 games in a row. You kind of have already that feel for the civ acquired. You don't have to remember anything new or try to switch your general approach. Obviously, it's a completely different game because it's Arabia and it's not Nomad. But basically, what I mean is, but if you're playing some civs, then you always have to have a special characteristic of theirs in mind. For example, if I'm playing Lithuanians, oftentimes my mind is just continuously reminding me, maybe pay a bit more attention to relics this game than you would do with any other civ. Or, hey, I get that extra fruit from TCs. Maybe I want to drop my second TC a bit earlier than with other civs. That's just what I mean, right? And so, in terms of the civ specifics, Dragon here sticking with the same one from previous game. Maybe some warm-up factor is gonna help out here. Now this is Arabian, so no water play, so we can focus on a few different aspects actually of the Lithuanians. Something we didn't mention last time around really as much is those faster moving trash units, and especially against Magyars, where it's quite plausible that the early feudal age is going to be a spearman scout ward. Having the faster movement spears is pretty neat for the Lithuanians. And then on Arabia too, right? Castle Age latest is just a super strong unit. If Dragon can get to that, that would be quite scary for eldeniro, I figure. And so yeah, with strong monasteries, with strong knight heavy cavalry play in general. And monks, Lithuanians, pretty robust there. Just will depend on not getting rolled in the early feudal age. Lithuanian scout rush is still nice, right? Because you have that extra starting food. But Magyars might have a bit of an advantage there. Why is that? Well, let's check on over to the Magyars and find out what they might bring to the table. We haven't seen them in the previous game, so maybe they're a bit more interesting to look at. Also classified as a cavalry civilization here. But really what makes them different, as a big town center shot looks to have been taken by eldeniro here, giving the early advantage in the scout war to Dragon for sure. One of the big things there for the Magyars is their really good scout rush. And not only do they get forging for free in feudal age, which would make their men-at-arms and their scouts extremely scary, but also scout cavalry line units are just 15% cheaper, and that's a lot of food saved. It's 12 food per scout actually. For feudal age, that is pretty strong, so you can go up maybe a little bit earlier if you want to. And you see it's going to be the 18 villager up by eldeniro, whereas Dragon gonna go with 19, so it's going to be one village later to the feudal age. Thus Magyars might have an advantage there early on. Also, the one thing I want to mention as well, if this was just straight cavalry play against each other, I'd possibly favor the Lithuanians because of their really good monks, and later is also becoming a factor. But with the Magyars, at the start of every age with a free attack upgrade, they'll have a power spike over the Lithuanians, and they have that ace up in the sleeve. They can always go for some cav archers as well, and they have perfectly upgradable cav archers. And now with the new team bonus, they create those faster as well. Oh, this is pretty unlucky. Look at this. Dragon is going to deny this deer push, isn't she? Finds that scout really nice. It's going to be extremely annoying here, and eldeniro just going to have to abandon this. Gets another hit in there. Really annoying. Just to finish up the Magyar talk though, not only are these perfect cav archers, but they also get that Imperial Age unique tech recurve bow with 1 extra range and attack. How crazy is that upgrade, right? It's just another fletching on top of everything you already have on your cav archers. So Magyar cav archers truly scary, especially in Imp. And now with the faster creation speed, quite the realistic option as well. There's eldeniro up to the next stage. Good play by both players so far. No idle time despite these scouting skirmishes that they had. Double eco upgrades for Magyars. Look at this, it's an 18 villager uptime into double eco upgrades into scouts. And that's going to be possible because these scouts are just cheaper. For the Lithuanians, we see only the single eco upgrade for now. And there's the stables coming up. Spearman already made. Being 1 villager later to the next age. It's a pretty good choice there by Dragon, I feel, to add the Spearman in. So you're definitely prepared. So continues to wall. I'd say it's quite big walls actually. Another row of palisades down south. So investing quite a lot of wood into that. Now also grabbing horse collar though, so I can't see her making a lot of scouts, frankly, with that many palisades and horse collar. Well, that's the first scout. No gathering point set. That is something quite unusual. The walling villagers might be under threat here, but one of the scouts already quite low HP. It's the starting one. So this is probably not going to be villager kills. Dragon, gotta be careful though. You're fighting against forging with no forging of your own. Numbers are going to be important, and a spearman in there certainly would help as well. She's now transitioning into farms. And ooh, that was a nice attempt. Did they manage to snipe a farm here? I actually didn't see. If they did, that is big. A lot of farms already for eldeniro though. Wow, he's heavily investing into this. Only 3 scouts on the map. One of them been taken out. Maybe the reason he doesn't want to commit to the scout fight is because he already started out with that lower HP scout in feudal age. But I feel like this is one of your biggest advantages in the entire game that you have in this matchup. Is the early feudal age where you get free forging and cheaper scouts. I feel like you want to commit to a heavy spear and scout fight against Lithuanians. Otherwise, I mean, if you let them get to castle age for cheap, I don't really think that's gonna get any better for you there. Meanwhile, Dragon continues her big project walling up, and really nice distribution of the spearmen as well. Has everything protected pretty much. I'm not sure I love this approach from eldeniro, but respect where it's due. Has forced some idle time out of Dragon, so is 1 to 1.5 villages up on her. So at least his attack has accomplished that. I just wish he would extend his attack a little bit more. Now walling up at home as well, although not as far walled yet. There's some bigger holes yet. Surprisingly quiet early feudal age. Big pressure on this game, of course. It is sort of an elimination game there for eldeniro and El Matador. If they lose this one, well, they'd be down 0-3. They'd have one more game. They'll be certainly out of contention for second place with that, and probably relying on a miracle if they want to get third. Probably there's some three-way tie scenario where it could work out. No, actually, it couldn't, right? Because two teams already have 2 wins, and they could get 1 at best. So no, if they lose this one, they are confirmed 4th or 5th place, and thus won't sadly be able to pick up any prize money from this one. So a big game for them here. Coming forward yet again is eldeniro. 19 farms already. Pretty impressive. Actually, a few of those are foragers, so it's just quote-unquote 16 farms. But the eco setup is still pretty nice for him at this point. And there we have further trades, but not really the ones he was looking for, I believe. As the full wall was not able to be stopped. And Dragon soon to be able to click up to Castle Age, even a little bit earlier than eldeniro. Unless some market usage were to come in, but no market actually for the Magyars here. Just yet. Dragon probably not going to be able to find entrance into the base here either, but that's probably fine in her eyes, as she's just going to be able to click up here if she wants to. Ooh, actually quite high L time, another half minute here since we last commented on it, which wasn't that long ago. So she's actually 3 villagers behind at this point, but able to click up a little bit sooner. Although the gap really isn't big, 20 seconds, nothing major. Nice little eco lead for eldeniro, despite everything, right? He's got more farms and he's got more villagers, 4 villagers more actually on the way to Castle Age. One of which is going to be made up by the faster Castle Age time, admittedly. And Dragon trying to do some damage of her own right now, although that's not going to happen. Nice garrison there, and just in time the scouts come in. Now the early Castle Age, again, this is really the one of the last points where I really see the Magyars be stronger than Lithuanians. If they are able to get into Cav Archers at some point, that again is their next big power spike, but that's going to be a long time away from now, I feel. So here, this early Castle Age window, I feel like they have to make count. They're going to get that free iron forging and iron casting, excuse me. And there we have already preparation in form of bloodlines, scale botting. They are getting upgrades. eldeniro probably knows here in early Castle Age this is a perfect time to strike. Light cavalry upgrade is what I'm expecting, but then also, well, actually with 4 scouts we might not see light cavalry. We might just see typical knights in Castle Age out of 2 stables. Second one of which is still to be built. And Dragon now up to the next age, but going to lose all of her scouts here, it appears. That is pretty strong scout cavalry chasing her down, and that's pretty much all of the military gone. Goes for a backwards TC here, but I don't know, I'd be a little bit worried. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I need the monastery as well. Not only, of course, do you want to pick up relics, but if the opponent is going into knights here in early Castle Age, which is a very real possibility, especially since that second stable has come up, although Dragon doesn't see that one. You will need to have some monks ready for that. Already some knights out on the map from the Magyars. Husbandry coming out as well, looking to do some damage with that. Now, eldeniro knows that this base is fully walled, so he definitely can't go for a half-assed knight play. He can't just... this is something we see a lot on Arabia. Early Castle Age, we see double staple, 6, 8, maybe 10 knights, and then players sometimes just stop and go for economy. Magyars can't do this here. I think if you're against Lithuanians, you need to do some damage now. Otherwise, this Castle Age could snowball out of control. Well, the thing is, if you want to do damage here, you need more than just 10 knights. Either you do a ridiculous amount of knights, but that could probably just be defended by monks behind the walls. But more likely, you're going to need to bring a siege workshop or a castle. Instead, eldeniro apparently is adding a 30c, so not too concerned about doing damage immediately. This looks much more like that typical half-assed knight play, as I call it. It certainly isn't a bad play in and of itself, right? Again, 8, 10 knights and then triple TC behind can work quite fine, but these knights, they might as well not be on the map for as far as I'm concerned. They're not gonna kill any monks, and they're not gonna kill any villagers here for the time being. So, not too sure about those. I like the light cap a little bit more if that's how eldeniro is going to be playing it, and light cap about to come in. Pikemen for dragon. Well, they're outnumbered, so not able to find any kills there, but I think it's a pretty smart upgrade as well, knowing that the Magyars are likely just going more into cavalry. She saw those cavalry upgrades coming in at the end of Feudal Age, I believe, so kind of confident that more cavalry is just going to be the way to go for eldeniro here, who could very realistically have switched into cavalry archers at the start of Castle Age, but will instead indeed go down for more light cav and more knights. Very defensive castle at this point from Dragon. I think Master James could certainly learn a thing or two from that. If you guys recall the last series, I'm not... Well, actually, I spoiled the result of it earlier, but never mind that. It's still worth watching. The knights still looking for potential weak spots in the walls. Could break through the palisades down south, although instead they go for a house wall and ultimately just pull back entirely. Oh, certainly could be more pressure put onto Dragon here at this point, either with siege or with more knights attacking walls. But regardless, it is pretty tough to break in with a monastery with monks behind the walls. One of the most deadly setups for any cavalry player. Castle gonna be just at home, protecting the main resources for Dragon and opening up the possibility of latest production. That's exactly what Dragon will be using the castle for now. Also got a compliment here a lot. That is pretty impressive. He only has picked up 20 seconds of idle TC time since Castle Age. And remember, she had quite high before that, but now 20 seconds more with 3 TCs the entire time. Probably the reason why her villager gap hasn't widened, despite the opponent having the triple TC set up before her. But the opponent instead has picked up more than 2 minutes since the start of Castle Age. So that's the difference there. Now, as Forging Sanctity, a few upgrades come in, the TCs from Dragon also being idled a bit more, so maybe I jinxed it there. In fact, eldeniro now out on the map, grabbing a few of the relics, doing a pretty good job at that. Well, has a couple of knights stationed everywhere to pick up or control the relic areas. And that's the last relic that's still out on the map and is very close to eldeniro, so it looks unlikely Dragon will get more than that one relic, who got really unlucky up here with the scouting. She just missed out on the vision of that one relic. But yeah, one relic Lithuanians doesn't really feel good. Generally the rule is you want 2 relics. 3 is awesome. 4 is OP. If you only get 1 relic, it's disappointing. If you get none, it's oftentimes disastrous. So 1 relic is disappointing for sure. Maybe she can get more later. Still, those are really strong units. For Castle Age purposes, having a relic alongside your regular blacksmith upgrades is still really good. And it looks like her plan is to go for another castle soon. Maybe secure the secondary gold outside her base. Could be an angle. I don't think she's going to get to put a castle on any of the hills, at least not if eldeniro continues riding around with the knight cavalry so much. So he's going back. He's not bringing back all the knights to deal with this one scout, is he? Maybe he wants to drop the castle here, but I'm not sure why he's going back like this. He had all of the control. He's not hiding anything either, right? Not hiding any upgrades. Want him to stay forward and disallow Dragon to drop any castles outside her walls. At least make it costly or make her protected. He's really going hard into Latest here. Look at this. And Latest is extremely good against knights. They ignore armor. So one of the main aspects of knights, their good tankiness, is heavily reduced if you play in Latest. Okay, well, Dragon going to try for a castle on the hill here. Interesting spot. Slight cavalry comes in from the Magyars. Looks like there might be some conversions. Instead, we see 3 deletions here. The knights just a bit out of position, not even trying to contest for this fight. So Dragon is being allowed back onto the map without really a lot of contest here. He's going to go up to Imp here, just as eldeniro will do. Well, he again is going to be about 20 seconds faster. Only 10 in this case. But she's going to have that castle in the middle of the map that eldeniro does not have, although he's going to drop one soon. I wonder where, though. Where is that castle going to go? Is it going to go somewhere here on the hill? I don't think that's a good spot. This might be a better spot, but he might just have to drop it at home. He doesn't have that much more time. Already has the stone. I'd like to see him start building it soon. Otherwise it could get a bit dangerous. Pikes start knocking. The monks start respond though by waving them away. Castle in the middle completed for Dragon. Not a bad location. And goes for forward stone here. I'm not sure how much of that is actually going to be taken here, because, well, the knights might have a word or two to say about that as well. Let's check in the eco situation. 5 more villages for Dragon. That is pretty negligible. Both players on 3 TCs. An extra castle for Dragon though. Just quickly we'll take a look at the resources collected. That is pretty much completely tied up, as Dragon goes for a raid here in the east, but we'll get one of our latest converted. I don't think any villager kills came through here. Actually, one villager kill on the latest so far, and that is what I was just talking about earlier. Dragon Stone Miners not in the best spot here. Not quite necessary, I don't think. 8 of them ended up going down here apparently, so villager numbers pretty much even at this point. Both players up to Imp. Trebuchets coming out from Dragon. eldeniro certainly will queue up his own, won't he? Cavalier upgrade on the way. Has a pretty big knight mass, but it is a bit scary against the Lithuanians, isn't it? Going for full melee cavalry. We're gonna see halberdiers apparently as well on Magyar's side. Goes for the halberdier upgrade without even having made any pikes yet. I wonder if the eco is going to be good enough to sustain all of this. Latest again going forward for some pressure. The knights coming in though from eldeniro, 40 seconds away from being cavaliers. This could be a pretty big engagement here. Remember, it's match point for Dragon and her team. And the latest are in. They're gonna wreak havoc in that eco, aren't they? Meanwhile, a huge engagement in the front, and I don't think that's a good one for eldeniro either. Sure, he has blast furnace, but pikes and latest, they should just shred these knights, shouldn't they? Even if the cavalier upgrade comes in now, at least it gets a little bit better. But there's a conversion already. It's pretty rough for eldeniro. He's buying time to get that castle up in his base apparently, but no trebuchets produced yet from him at all, and he's just losing cavalier numbers slowly but surely. Now he takes a big battle here, but as I said, that could be the deciding one of the series if he loses all these cavalier. So he's got to be extremely careful about that, and he's smart not to take the full all-in fight there, I believe. But he's kind of getting cornered right now with his horses. Riding through, still trying to find an opening, but Dragon quite diligent about the walls, actually holds up really well. Is she going to be able to bring this home? I'm pretty scared for eldeniro right now, because that's a lot of latest that he's facing. And Trebuchet is also already queued up for Dragon. She must have lost a couple of them actually a second ago, because she had some queued earlier and I don't see them right now. So at least eldeniro apparently has managed to snipe those. Cavalier armor upgrades gonna help out as well. Still, if you fight in latest, that's not gonna make a difference. Deals against pikes underneath the castle. Well, that is the wet noodle fight of the century. 4th DC, alright. Protecting that gold a little bit more closely, I suppose. But the army, that is still a problem for eldeniro here. It's gonna have fully upgraded Cavalier in a second. But I don't know, it's just nothing special about the Magyar army composition right now. They don't really have anything crazy. The only thing special about them would be their amazing cav archers and their cheaper hussars, but neither of those are currently units that eldeniro is producing. Meanwhile, Dragon using the strength of her civilization reasonably well. She didn't get that full relic bonus, sadly, but she's got the latest. A ton of them, actually, which is a core identity of the Lithuanians. It's getting those faster moving pikemen as well. Even going into a lot of hand cannoneers now, and that's going to be hard. I mean, hand cannoneers are super expensive, so if eldeniro finds a good catch on them, especially when the numbers aren't as high yet, the cavaliers could trample them to the ground. But until then, well, these hand cannoneers are going to be amazing against the helps. Also chemistry on the way for Magyar. Let's check real quick what are the gunpowder options for them. None. Neither hand cannon nor bombard cannon. So that's an issue as well. Both are available to Dragon and both have already been produced. Actually, she lacks 2 houses or 1 house. But good job. Yeah, she just queued up a few more, you might say. Although she's not actually building any of them, funnily enough. He has now those 200 pop though, and she's pushing that castle. I don't see currently what the answer is for eldeniro. He's going into cavalry archer switch right now, with Parthian tactics, thumb ring, and chemistry coming in, but that seems a little bit late. It's got a lot of resources laying around, but not the greatest eco balance for this cav archer switch. This is a good engagement though, but now the hand cannon is coming in. A lot of halberdiers might start falling rather soon. Cavalier diving in on the hand cannons. Can the latest catch them off though? It looks like they can, and this is going to be a really good fight for Dragon, isn't it? Isn't it? Well, she's going to lose the hand cannons, or is she? All the helps and the Cavalier have gone down. I don't think this was a fight eldeniro could afford to take, but he felt like he had to because his castle was being trapped away at. Oh no, what a bad fight for him there, as Dragon is cleaning up everything. Has a really nice army comp, as mentioned. The cavalry archer switch just isn't in time. Look at this, he's not even producing any right now, as his main army has been wiped out and he has to call it. So Dragon takes the win in the game and the series for her team. Congratulations there. Second win in a row on Lithuanians. Nicely done. And MbL Dragon improved to a series score of 1-1. Well, I don't want to confuse it. In this series, they win 2-0, but in the overall tournament, having come in 0 games to 1, they now get their first win on the board as well. So congrats to them. They're still very much in the running for the top 3 spots. Well, excluding number 1, but everything else is still possible for them. Sadly for El Matador and eldeniro, they had a tough opposition to face here, both of their opponents being a little bit higher in elo than themselves, but fought really well, especially in that first game, and I loved the coordination with the military there. And then eldeniro just in the middle of the map couldn't really hold on long enough, sadly. And in this game here, I wasn't sure he picked the right battles and the right points in the game to pressure. Maybe was confident in being able to get that cavalry archer switch in faster. Wasn't ultimately able to do so. Still great job securing 4 of the relics, but this is pretty much where the tournament run ends for El Matador and eldeniro. They'll still have the match against Emu. No, they've played against Emu Warrior. They're against Gay Life and Syscon. Hopefully that'll be able to be played, at least if it's necessary. It might not be if certain matches end with certain results, but at least they are out of contention right now for the prize money spots. So still want to shout them out. Appreciation to El Matador and eldeniro for participating in this. Very thankful for that. And MbL Dragon, they take the serious victory here. Okay, with all of that, we're caught up to live. These are all the matches in this bracket that have been played until now. I'll keep an eye on the server and try to cast some games live if possible. Otherwise, I'll come back whenever WODs are uploaded. And also, in 2 weeks, we're going to continue with the Civilization 3 tournament on my Twitch and YouTube channels. So look out for that if you're here for the Civ content as well. Good, that's gonna it for this series. Congrats MbL and Dragon. Good performance here, and looking forward to more from this event.